I'm generally pretty composed. I think you guys have seen that for the most part. That one set me off. And I'm human like everybody else. I have blackout moments where I'll lose my mind. I try not to. I try my best to keep it together. But that one was hard for me to watch in the moment. And yeah, I got to have a little bit better awareness that there's cameras on me, and I'm not up in the box yelling at anybody. I'm right there in the front of everything, and the cameras are pointed right at me. So probably a little bit of a lesson learned for me in that regard. Don't regret my feelings about it, but yeah, I'm sure there's some things I could probably do better when it comes to that.
I don't know, Brian Callahan. You're a coach's kid. I feel like you know when the cameras should be on you. That brings us to Like It Never Happened, presented by Serve Pro. Ron Rivera is at the table, which is great. We had a head coaching conversation on deck, so we brought in our head coach, Ron Rivera.
Coach.
All right, let's look at what we just heard from Coach Callahan. Maybe your response to his immediate emotions, but also how he tried to walk him back a little bit.
And, he's correct. His emotions got the best of him. First and foremost, the thing you have to understand is when you're in that spotlight, you're going to send a message to your team. Now, there's some positive things to take from it. First of all, he showed his team that he will criticize and be critical of any player on the team, even the quarterback. Okay. Secondly, he showed his passion of how badly he wants to win the game. That's another thing that's really important that his players should most certainly get. And he tells them that I'm expecting smart, physical, great execution style of football is what he wants from his players. Now, what you have to be careful is what are everybody seeing? What are the players seeing? Okay. Well, what is the player that you're talking to? How is he taking it? It's not what you're saying, but it's how is he taking it. And so then from there, he's got to build it back up. So it was real interesting to listen to this because it does sound like he does understand. He's probably had a great conversation. His father's on staff. He's running the offensive line. He probably had a great conversation with Brian, and Brian's going to learn and grow from this. But again, you also have to remember, you are going to get emotional. You got to be careful, especially with the cameras on you, because you never know. Mom might hear you.
I look at what Callie was saying, though, that he's like, I don't regret my reaction to it. I don't regret what my feelings were to it. And I almost think of the situation with Bryce Young in Carolina where everyone, Dave Canales, this is all behind closed doors, and there was no sort of dissatisfaction. And then Callahan has just laid it out there, hard on a sleeve, reacting that way. He says it. He was up in the booth for many years in Cincinnati. I'm sure he slammed his tablets. I'm sure he got angry at Burrow, but you didn't see it because the cameras were at Zach Taylor, not on him. He'll learn from this, but I also I kind of respect it, and I think he knows that Will Levis can take it. And I think every quarterback is different. Levis is a true alpha, and I feel like they've now invested their entire organization into Levis in both the coaching staff being offensive coaches and also the way they're building their roster, that this isn't like you're in danger of your job. I'm just mad at you. I'm disappointed at you. I'm going to let it out at you this way. In a world of participation trophies, I don't mind a coach being critical of his quarterback. And I think what Callahan said yesterday that I actually appreciated was I don't regret my feelings. I was really annoyed that he did that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I agree. And I got a tremendous amount of respect for what he did. I really do. Because getting up there and, having to take some of it back, that takes somebody that's understanding, that's learning and growing. And he's going to get better. He's going to be a better coach for this. He really will.
Yeah, Coach, this actually takes me back. I'm sure he's got a lot of lessons that he's learned from his father, Bill Callahan, who was my head coach when I was with the Raiders. And I remember Bill Callahan, we were playing against the Indianapolis Colts, and he called us the dumbest team in America. And it was like, wait, what? I mean, that turned the whole locker room up. That's a whole nother story. But, I mean, the backlash he got from that locker room experience was like, whoa, Tim Brown, Jerry Rice, these guys stood up and called him out, too, for that. But I don't think in this situation, and I love the way he kind of came back around to it, I don't think in this situation he did anything wrong because I think he knows that a lateral leads to an increased risk of a turnover. I mean, that you just got to know that. Coaches say this all the time. Don't be a repeat offender. You're a repeat offender. Don't be a repeat offender. I can hear that all the time in my head, but I love how honest he was in the moment because I think the one thing we know as former players is that if a coach ain't saying anything to you, typically means he doesn't care about you. And if he doesn't care about you, he's checked out, and you're probably going to be on the out. And I will say this, the love that shows to me it's above on another level because there's nothing worse for the viewers at home. Just think about being in the workplace and you're just not hitting it, and it's not working out right, you're not doing anything, and no one's telling you anything. They're all talking behind your back. You know how you've been in that situation where they're texting up to the general manager and what's going on with this guy. No, tell him to his face. Coach him up. Tell him. Let him know. And that, to me, I get respects to Brian Callahan.
I'm going to say it like this. No, he needs to know. But it is, all right, he has to understand that you cannot put your team in these kind of situations. I have no issue with Coach coming at it like that this time. The thing is, you have to understand, and you know this, Coach, you coach every player differently. Every single player differently. Now, your approach is predicated based upon what that player can handle. So, obviously, he understands his quarterback can handle this type of coaching. Now, is that something that he's going to want to always do? Probably not, right? But he has to your point, Coach, he has to set a standard for this team. He's coming in there coaching this team for the first time. These guys have to understand it takes too much work to get down the field for you to make silly decisions like that. If you push the wrong button on your controller playing Madden, you're going to be mad. Okay, everybody's done that pitch before. You can't afford to put your team in this situation. We do our job to get down there. All 11 guys are on the field executing, and then you go out there and decide to go street ball on us. We can't do that. We can't afford to do it. There's a standard. Understand that now. His approach will change going forward.
And the best thing Akbar said was he was a repeat offender. And as a coach, that's really frustrating, just knowing that, oh, we just had that last week, now this again. So, again, what Brian did was the thing that needed to be said. And, again, he probably does understand that Will can handle being coached tough.
Yeah.
Isaiah, we've all had that moment where we're breaking free for a touchdown in Madden and we press the dive button and just dive right on the ground. It just absolutely kills. Coach, it's always great to see you. Listen, the Titans playing the Packers this week. They've played pretty good football. They just blew both games. Glad to have Ron Rivera on the show every time. Coach, stick around for a little bit, okay?
Oh, yeah, because we do have to talk about Bryce Young. Somebody brought him up at the table already. And frankly, Coach was just regaling us with some stories about what it's been like when you coached for the Philadelphia Eagles and against them in the division. We're going to have to ask him if it's okay to share them. That's still to come on our show.